Yeah.
You're building out a system for something new, such as inside camping. What does your process look like of kind of addressing all the different things that come up and sort of documenting that for yourself and kind of keeping track of that? How do you build that system?
So the number one thing is you can't be afraid of failure, because when you start trying to do anything new, like this is, the combining the outside or the outside camping with the inside camping, high head, low head, like it just doesn't exist in jiu-jitsu. And you don't really have any reference points of what you're trying to accomplish. So you have to be able to accept the fact that you're just going to go in for 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and just completely shit the bed, and everyone's going to invert into your legs and go into heel looks and stuff like that. Number one thing is you can't be afraid of failure. And don't be afraid of failure and be consistent with, I tried, to use Hodger's method that he used in the gi, no gi, and I'm like, this doesn't work. And even John dismissed it. He's like, your method's way better. And I was like, I feel like there's something there. So I just kept trying it. And then like 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, I got it. And then I like kind of went to John. I was like, this is the system, and this is where the grips are, yada, yada. But just don't be afraid of failure. Keep persistent, and always ask yourself, like for me, if someone hits a move on me, I always just put like a little check in my head. I'm like, okay, this guy hit this move on me. So the question is either in the roll, I can do it in the roll a lot of times, but a lot of people have to think back after the roll. At least after the roll, think back and say, he did this. What are the mechanical reasons that allowed him to do this? And once you have that answer, then you can reverse engineer it and say, okay, if he needs to achieve these mechanics, how can I prevent him from doing X, Y, Z? Okay, what's the mechanical answer to him to countering whatever he did mechanically to be able to invert or enter my legs or sweep me, whatever the case is. So you kind of just do it piece by piece, and then you say, okay, well, this guy was able to insert a butterfly hook here. How do I stop that? Okay, well, this guy was able to invert here. How do I stop that? And then you just piece everything together until you get to a situation where, okay, now the guy can't move underneath me, and he's carrying my body weight. And kind of just piece it together over the course of a month or two, or longer. Yeah.
What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew as a white belt? And the second question would be, what was one bad habit that you have experienced or you've seen people develop at white or blue belt that was hardest to unlearn it on that level?
One thing I wish I knew as a white belt was just having a general vision what I was trying to do. Like I would just, first of all, when I was a white belt, I mean, I'm not even like an old school guy, but like I started in 2011, basically like the end, like very end of 2010, and my initial coach was a blue belt. So I had a blue belt was coaching me, and then he got his purple belt, and I was a blue belt, and then I met Gary, who was a brown belt, and then after that I met John. But for the first 3 years or so of my training, I was training under just like a random, like Miguel, which is like a random blue belt that was like somewhere in New Jersey. And so he was learning along with me. I wish that instead of learning moves, people would have taught me an understanding of the position and just general visions of what I'm trying to do in each position. Like, oh, the guy has an underhook from half guard, make sure you put a whizzer in. Like, that's a move. But it's like, okay, why am I doing this? And what am I actually trying to accomplish from each of these positions? So just having a vision of what you're trying to do definitely would have helped. Like, I just came in and just basically did the moves and like tried to beat people up. But if I had like a vision of what I was trying to accomplish, which is what John kind of instilled, was okay, understanding of the underlying principles of the positions in the sport would be a big help. And one of the big mistakes that I see people make, number one, is that everyone's trying to win every round. Like, I don't try to win every round. I'm trying to learn new stuff every round. Like, it's great to be able to beat people up. Like, especially, obviously for me it's different because I'm trying to compete at a high level. But for me, it was like, no one cares what you do in the gym. Like, you can have the coolest rounds in the gym, and then you can go out and you can get, there's so many guys who are gym warriors who compete so well, who train so well in the gym, and they just go out and they lose to guys who have no business losing to. So for me, I'm just like, yeah, like you tap me in the gym, like go win ADCC. So obviously it was a little bit different for me. But still, if you're just trying to win every round, you're only going to get good at the things that you're good at. Like, you're only going to get better at the things you're already good at. Until you find guys who are forcing you into bad positions, And then most of the time when you're forced into bad positions, you have such anxiety about being in bad positions, just trying to explode out, and you don't actually learn anything anyways. So just experimenting. I think experimenting is the biggest thing in jiu-jitsu. Experimenting and not being afraid to fail. Like, you know, no one's making any money doing this, especially if you're not competing, which is probably most people in here, competing at the highest levels. So just go in, experiment, don't be afraid to fail, and really think about, you know, what you're doing. Like, don't just come in and just go through the moves. Like, come in with like a set of long-term and short-term goals of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, if you come in and you train, everyone's going to get better, but time is always the X factor. It's not just, can I get better? It's, how can I get better in the shortest amount of time possible? It's like if I asked you a question, if you could have Warren Buffett's wealth, but you also had to have his age, or you could be 15 years old with no money, most people would take 15 years old with no money because Warren Buffett has a few years left to live. Like, you know, so it's like time is always the X factor for most things. So it's not just how can I get better, it's how can I be as good as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. And I think having a vision and experimentation is usually the two things that will help with that. Anybody else? Yeah.
As a smaller female in a obviously male-dominated sport, and most of my training partners are larger males who are higher level than me, how can I style my training or my roles to get the most out?
The easiest way for females to beat stronger males is lower body submissions. Anything upper body where your upper body is trying to fight their upper body, even with the back. Like if you try to strangle someone from the back and they just take a strong 2-on-1, you can just get stuck with a strong 2-on-1 forever. But when you start going into leg entanglements, number one, it keeps their weight off of you. Like if you have a cross ashigarami or any kind of like 50-50, it stops them from putting their full weight onto you, and it makes it hard for their hands, their upper body, to access your hands and upper body. So it's not only your legs versus their legs, it's your legs and your arms versus their legs. And most of the time, their hands are pretty much out of the equation. The easiest way for females to deal with males is always lower body submissions. What's up, guys? Well, you're here again with BJJ Fanatics for a fun little instructional we have today, shutting down this over back grip, which everyone just randomly calls Octopus guard now. When you use it correctly, it can actually be like a cool little series. Like, it is an effective move. It's not really so much of a guard. It's more of like a scrimmaging position. Like when you get taken down, you kind of scrimmage out of this position, or use to turn it into scrimmages. But it's a pretty cool position. It can be used effectively if you do it right.